Hey everybody! This week we're going to learn about a Bible story from Genesis. So from the very first book of the Bible, we're going to learn about twin brothers. And what they did was something that God gave them. So we're going to listen to the story of Jacob and Esau, and then we're going to make a craft about what they did in the story. So go ahead and listen to this story. This story about twin brothers is found in the very first book of the Bible, Genesis. Isaac and Rebekah had twin boys. Esau had been born first, and as he grew up he was very hairy. But Jacob wasn't hairy like his brother. The twin brothers were different in other ways too. Esau loved to go away hunting venison for his father Isaac's dinner, but Jacob liked staying at home with his mother cooking. Isaac wanted his boys to know about God's promise to their ancestor Abraham, that their family would have God's special blessing and become great. This special blessing to our family always passes to the eldest son, said Isaac. Jacob loved hearing about God's special promises and wished that he was the eldest son. One day Esau came home from hunting, feeling so hungry that he was nearly fainting. "Give me some of your red lentil soup," he said, "before I die of hunger." "You can only have it if you give me your special promise from God," answered Jacob. "Well, it is no use to me if I die," Esau replied, and he swapped God's promise for a bowl of soup. After he had eaten, Esau felt much better, and he was sorry that he'd given away God's special promise. But Jacob treasured having God's special blessing. So Esau was the older brother. They were twins, but he was just a tiny bit earlier. He was born first. And so he was given the birthright that was passed down from their family that God promised to Abraham, that he was going to make his descendants great and that they were going to be a great nation. So we're traveling along that family line until we reach Jacob and Esau, just a couple generations down the road. And Esau and Jacob are very different brothers, right? What did Esau like to do? He liked to hunt, right? And what did Jacob like to do? He liked to stay at home and cook. And Esau, he was very what? That's right, he was very hairy. And Jacob wasn't hairy at all. So they were kind of exact opposites. So Esau was the older one, so he had the family's birthright. But he didn't covet it. He didn't take special care of it. He didn't fully appreciate it. And he gave it to his brother for just a bowl of soup one day when he was really hungry. So we all have promises from God. We have the promises that God's going to take care of us and that God's going to love us and that He will never abandon us. And we need to hold those things and those special promises from God near and dear to our heart. And that's kind of what Esau forgot to do. It's easy to forget how special God is sometimes in our lives in the busyness and the rush of life. But we always need to come back and make sure that we are showing God how much He loves us as much as we love Him. Jacob always held God's promises near and dear to his heart, and that's why he wanted the birthright from Esau. What he did wasn't exactly right, but he was showing how much he did love God and wanted to represent that in his life. But we should always try to be honest to our families as well, because Jacob was a little dishonest in this situation. But we're going to make a craft to represent the soup that Jacob gave to Esau in exchange. I want several different colored sheets of paper, including something to make a pot. I'm going to use black paper, and something for your soup. I'm going to use yellow paper, and then I'm going to use white for my spoon, a glue stick, scissors, a green and an orange pipe cleaner, and a box of crayons. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a circle on whatever color of paper is going to be your soup pot. I'm using the black piece of paper to be my soup pot. And then I'm going to cut out my circle. And then I'm going to take my background sheet of paper, which is my blue paper, and I'm going to glue down my soup pot. So that is my first step. My next step is to draw another circle on whatever color paper is going to be my soup. And I want to draw this circle smaller so you can still see the soup pot after I glue the soup in. Then I'm going to glue my soup into my pot. So here's what it looks like so far. My next step is to draw a spoon for my soup because you can't eat your soup without a spoon, can't you? So here's my spoon. Just do the best you can with drawing a spoon. They're a little hard to draw. And then I'm going to cut my spoon out. And then I'm going to glue my spoon into the pot. My spoon's going to hang out of my paper because that kind of makes it a little 3D, and I kind of think that's a little bit cool if it comes off the edge of the paper. What kind of soup was the soup that Jacob gave him? Do you remember? It was lentil soup. Lentil soup is kind of like pea soup. So we're going to make some peas and some carrots to put into our soup. So I'm going to cut my pipe cleaners into small little strips to represent my peas and my carrots. Pipe cleaners are a little hard to cut, so you might need to ask for some help and make sure you have a real strong pair of scissors. And then I'm going to cut some orange for some carrots. And then I'm going to glue my peas and my carrots into my soup bowl. Hopefully, this looks like some yummy soup is what we're hoping for. So just make sure you get glue on your pipe cleaners and put them into your soup bowl. So you can make your soup bowl as full or as empty with the vegetables as you would like. I'm going to make mine pretty full. And then after you've glued them all down, you may want to pick your paper up and see if any of them shake off. And then you might want to put a little bit more glue down for those vegetables that fell off. There we go. So there is my soup bowl. And then I'm going to add a Bible verse to finish up my picture. I'm going to put, then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew. And that is Genesis 25:34. I hope you guys had fun making your craft this week. I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye!